Hi, I'm back. So, January 2nd, it's Friday. Happy New Year 2026. But the games, I guess they have begun way before time. But I just want to get back here and say nothing has changed since I left the last apartment that I was living at for 4 years. And when I was living at the temporary place in Queens, ironically, there was apartments over our head at that building. It was supposed to be a brand new building, but they somehow made it to where there was people living over our heads. Only difference is the ceilings were very high, and so you would hear it, but it wouldn't be as intense. We were flooded. There was a flood in our room. And the funny thing is, in this apartment, a lot of the wall, when I look at the ceiling and certain parts of the wall in this apartment, it looks damp. It looks damp. It looks like as if you press it, it will either tear or it's soft looking in the walls. Like, there could possibly be a flood or a leak coming along. There's Jesus signs all over the walls. When I first walked in, I took video, but I didn't notice the Jesus cult-looking signs all over the walls until like days later. It's like little weird smeared brightness on my walls. Like you can see like this brightness on the walls, like it looks glossy, like glossy patches. And then you see like cross marks. So this is what the city inspected. They didn't see Jesus signs all over the walls and stuff. So nothing has changed. The only difference is I don't hear the faucet come on in the bathroom or in the kitchen every time I walk in. But there's apparently somebody that walks over my head when I'm walking sometimes. Like I just went into the bathroom. Sounds like a man with boots followed me from the bathroom into the bedroom. He's in the bedroom listening to me right now over my head. Who knows? I started to think it could be the neighbor on my floor going upstairs. I don't know. I got all types of ways to chop this up. I don't know why I get this idea that the neighbor is a man next door to me on my floor, literally right next door. His door is kissing my door, pretty much. And I don't know why I get this idea that he can be going upstairs attending whatever activity is going on upstairs, and then coming back downstairs. And I have this idea that it's different people leaving the apartment in and out. Maybe nobody lives there. Because the weird thing is, it just seems like there's no furniture. There's no furniture up there. They got all this space to walk around. It's so hollow. Okay? It's so hollow that when he or she drops things on the floor, it echoes like as if they're in my apartment. Okay? On the third or fourth night of me living here, 6 a.m, somebody was screaming, 6:30 in the morning. Okay? We're sleeping, but I'm like half awake, maybe because they were making noise. Next thing you know, boom, at 6:30 in the morning, to the point where they cracked the wall in my room. I told Mr. Inger, the super, the very day, it was around it was somewhere late morning till Mid-afternoon, I told Mr. Inger about it. He texted them. He told me, what's weird is, at the time, he told me he went up there and spoke to them. And he said they were going to stop making the noise. But when I seen him this week, when he came to put my curtain rod on the wall, which was, I believe it was, it might have been Thursday, because I didn't have to work. No, it was Wednesday, I think. And I told him, listen, they're doing all this activity, dropping things over my head where my bed is. It's always where I'm at most of the time. You understand? That's how it's so obvious. And so I explained to him, they haven't really stopped. And he showed me the text message that he sent to them. So I'm a little confused because he told me he went up there and spoke to them and somebody said they're going to stop. But then he showed me a text message this week, Wednesday, where it said, oh, I told them to stop making noise. But their response was, oh, are you sure you're talking to us? Because we're not home or whatever. Meanwhile, when he was here that day, last week, 2 weeks ago, because he had to do something in my apartment, he witnessed them walking over my head, over our heads. He was in the apartment and he witnessed somebody was there. So they couldn't fool him and say that they weren't home because he heard them walking. I don't know why he didn't put that in the text message. But sometimes, you got so many other things you're trying to do. You don't got time to be detailing. At least he didn't think so. Because he doesn't know the situation overall. And so, he texted them. But he told me he spoke to them personally. But in the text, he says they said they weren't home. Now, you see how this can get twisted and weird? And so what's interesting about it is this is a gang of people. It has to be. Because the reason why I really noticed this happening, when my sister had an apartment in Brooklyn in around 2011, 2009, somewhere around that time, she had even my mother and my sister and the family, they were living in that apartment. And they had this lady from the islands living over their head. And supposedly this lady had her papers and all this crap. Yeah, people like this supposedly have their papers and stuff. And it's funny because I see a video on YouTube that's on my timeline that says people on meth, gang stalking, evil gang stalking meth heads, people that are taking methamphetamines. So they put it to a narration where, oh, these people that they get to do this are on drugs, or they got their papers and all this crap. Okay, so she had her papers, supposedly, because that's what she would threaten my sister with. Oh, she has her papers. Okay, meanwhile, a sister of mine's, I'm not going to put the business out there, okay, but it got violent. I'll put it like that. Where there was a restraining order. But this lady, when my mother was living there, okay, with her husband and whoever else, family of theirs, I was over there, just for like maybe a few weeks. And this lady would be dropping things over their head like crazy. I said, what the F is going on? So apparently this is something that's been going on. Another friend of mine's, and it's funny because a lot of these people have Native American heritage that this is happening to. Yeah, there's a pattern, there's a trait that I'm analyzing. Okay? My friend who lived in the Bronx, and it's always in these apartments where either somebody has Section 8, so it's as if they're mad at you because you have an assistance. But this is not happening to everybody. It's targeted people that they're doing this to. Because another guy of mine, he's also part Cherokee. Well, he is Cherokee, okay? People from the South. You know, the whole story. He lives in New York, blah, blah, blah. In his apartment, banging things over his head. He's also Native American. So this is being targeted to certain individuals. I'm not saying everybody's Native American that this is happening to. But these cult of people that are targeting people in apartments, trying to have them homeless or whatever it is that they're trying to succeed at. So for instance, if I want to do videos for YouTube, you ask me, oh, why don't you do effing videos and stuff? Yeah, I'm a little frustrated. I'm sorry, YouTube, no disrespect. Okay? But if you're in my shoes, you probably would be doing way worse. They're so lucky. So you wonder, oh, I see people look as if they're talking straight at me on YouTube through my freaking phone. Can you explain that? And it looks as if they're talking to me. Oh, you should be doing videos. Why aren't you doing YouTube videos? Why aren't you doing TikTok videos? You can make so much money on Instagram Reels. Oh, you got the look. You got the look. Oh. But guess what? Somebody decided to put headbangers over my head. So if I'm doing a video, I'll be distracted by a boom. Who the F can do videos like that? Are you being funny or what? Let me know. All right? Because I'm documenting this. I didn't expect me to get on YouTube doing it this way. But we got to get it done some way, somehow. Happy New Year.